He launched a rocket into space and simultaneously posted memes at 3 in the morning. He saved 2 companies from bankruptcy and crashed the crypto market with a single tweet. He talks about saving humanity and yet remains one of the most toxic figures on the internet. One person. 3 completely different psychological realities. Let's break down each one right now. Because today we're going to examine Musk through the lens of Jungian psychology, archetypes, psychological type, and the core inner conflict that drives one of the most influential people on the planet. And after this video, you will never look at him as just a rich weirdo again. Let's start with the first archetype, and arguably the deepest one. In Jungian psychology, there is the figure of the magician, not a stage magician with a hat. This is a person who seeks to transform reality itself through knowledge, technology, and vision. The magician doesn't live in the present. He lives in a future that hasn't arrived yet and tries to reach it with his bare hands. Look at Musk's projects. SpaceX is not a business. It's an attempt to make humanity a multi-planetary species. Tesla is not a car company. It's a weapon against dependence on fossil fuels. XAI is not a startup. It's, in Musk's own words, an attempt to understand the nature of the universe. He doesn't think in terms of quarters and profits. He thinks in terms of civilizational shifts. From a psychological standpoint, this is a textbook sign of dominant, introverted, intuitive thinking, INTJ or similar configurations. These people are oriented not toward what exists, but toward what will exist. They see patterns where others see chaos. They ask questions that simply don't occur to most people. That's why Musk's statements about the dominance of artificial intelligence, the colonization of Mars, the collapse of traditional institutions, sound either like prophecy or like delusion. Depending on how much time passes before they come true, the magician doesn't get things wrong. The magician simply arrives too early. But vision alone is not enough. You need the strength to execute it. This is where the second archetype enters, the hero. The hero is the one who takes on the mission, who goes into conflict with the system, who is willing to lose everything for the sake of an idea. Musk builds his public narrative exactly within this framework. Save humanity. Ensure the survival of the species. Make us a multi-planetary civilization. These aren't marketing slogans. They are the archetypal language of the hero, who frames his mission through the scale of the threat. And he doesn't just talk, he backs it up with action. In 2008, both Tesla and SpaceX were on the verge of bankruptcy simultaneously. Musk put his last personal funds into them. The final Falcon 1 launch either had to succeed, or he would be left with nothing. It succeeded. This is not the rational decision of a businessman. This is the behavior of a hero who cannot retreat, because the mission matters more than survival. But here's an important nuance, and it's psychologically fascinating. The hero in Musk is not an altruist, not a Mother Teresa. He is a messianic innovator, a man who saves the world, but on his own terms. He is in conflict with institutions. He doesn't recognize authority. He is extremely demanding of the people around him, because in his mind, the mission has no tolerance for weakness. Researchers explicitly describe him as a combination of the hero and the magician, and that combination alone is already explosive. But Musk goes further. The third archetype is the least obvious, and possibly the most important for understanding why Musk is so Musk. This is the trickster. In the Jungian tradition, the trickster is the one who breaks the rules, who laughs at seriousness, who operates through provocation, irony, and chaos, and by doing so, changes reality more effectively than any direct action. Think about it. Musk posts a meme about Dogecoin, and the price surges. He writes a single tweet, and a company loses billions in market cap. He appears on Saturday Night Live playing a character while the SEC investigates his actions. He buys Twitter and renames it X, simply because he can. This isn't irresponsibility. This is the trickster in action. The psychological function of this archetype: testing limits. The trickster asks, what happens if I break this rule? What about this one? What if we abolish the rule entirely? Sometimes the answer is chaos, but sometimes it's a revolution. And this is where the paradox of Musk lies. His genius and his controversiality are not different sides of his personality. They are the same mechanism. The magician sees the future, the hero moves toward it, and the trickster clears the path by breaking everything that stands in the way. But where does all of this come from? Let's go back to the person. Musk describes his childhood as isolated. He was immersed in books rather than social life. He read encyclopedias for fun. He was bullied at school. He didn't understand people, and people didn't understand him. This is a classic portrait of an introvert with schizoid traits. Not in a pathological sense, but in a psychological one. A person with an extraordinarily deep inner world, abstract thinking, and a low need for social validation. Combine this with paranoid goal-directedness, an obsessive sense of mission, an inability to switch off, a constant feeling that time is running out and the stakes are at their maximum. And you get the formula for Musk: high intellectual autonomy, low social sensitivity. He can develop a plan for the colonization of Mars and simultaneously fail to notice that he's hurting the people around him. Not because he's cruel, but because his internal processor is simply calibrated to a different scale. And here is where it gets truly interesting. The entire archetypal system of Musk is sustained by a constant inner tension between three poles. The magician says, I can see where the world is heading. The hero says, I am obligated to take it there. The trickster says, and every rule standing in the way is nothing more than a convention. This tension produces genius, but it also produces instability of image, radical statements, and conflicts that are impossible to predict. Why does Musk make forecasts like he does about the rapid development of AGI or the end of traditional media? Because the magician in him says, I see the pattern. The hero adds, I have a duty to warn humanity. And the paranoid structure of his personality amplifies every risk to its maximum. That's why his statements are almost always either prophetic or exaggerated. But almost always, they shift the conversation. Even when he's wrong, he forces everyone else to think about these questions. That is the true superpower of the trickster hero magician. Elon Musk is not just an entrepreneur, and not just an eccentric billionaire. He is an archetypal system in a human shell, a magician who rewrites the rules of reality, a hero who pursues his mission regardless of the cost, a trickster who destroys norms, and in doing so, clears the space for something new. And it is precisely this combination that explains everything. Why he transforms industries while simultaneously generating scandals. Why he is consumed by ideas while remaining unpredictable. Why people either worship him or despise him, often at the same time. Jung said that the most powerful personalities are those in whom the archetypes speak the loudest. In Musk, they don't speak, they scream. If this video made you see him differently, leave a like. And if you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe. Next week, we're taking apart another figure in whom the archetypes speak almost as loudly. See you then.